Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode. And we are here to talk about the Lychee Slicer update 7.1.1. And I'm going to go over it as briefly and best as I can. I do apologize because some of the stuff that I'm going to go over might not be features you even use, but they did make a lot of additions to the software this time. So this is going to take a little bit longer than the previous update where I just complained about the library being small and insignificant. It still only has 800 some models, by the way. I think they said they promised on doubling it or something in a few months, so we'll see where they go with that one. So far, it's still the same size. And yeah, if you're enjoying it, great. I'm glad you are. If not, leave me some comments. Let me know what you think about it. As far as this month or this update, we have updates to the printers that have been added. The Anycubic Photon Mono M7, M7 Max, M4, and M4 Ultra have all been added to Lychee Slicer's compatibility. Now, I will say this: I do have an M4 currently, and I don't recommend slicing using Lychee Slicer. I have had two file corrupt errors. Um, and I do not recommend it. I would recommend exporting as an STL file once you're done doing your supporting, and then bringing that into Anycubic Workshop, setting up your slicing settings there, and then producing your slice file that way. You will actually notice a difference in the way the file looks. It'll be either if it's black, it has black background with white 3D characters. Then it's going to be from Lychee Slicer. If it's blue with like a blue model character, then it's sliced off of Workshop. So my suggestion is until they get that worked out. And again, I have this issue with the X2 and two other Anycubic printers down in the earlier days when they were released. So I don't think it's actually Lychee's fault. I think this is actually more of a Anycubic kind of thing. They just, I don't know. There's like a piece of code in there they're not telling them. Wi-Fi protocol has been supported for Chitu systems SDCP 3.0. That will apply to Elegoo Saturn 4 and the Mars 5 Ultra. The fast slicing is now compatible with .goo or GOO and PRZ files, so that functionality is now working. Plus, users, we have now added a batch process on the current scene, so that's very cool if you're using the batch processing. 3MF file format has now been added for support to Bamboo Lab printers, which is a big thing because 3MF, from my understanding, supports color printing. So that to me would be a big thing. Although it's my understanding you can do color printing with G code as well. So I don't know. I guess the format is just for convenience there. Send slice files directly to your printer via Wi Fi or Ethernet, and that seems to apply to FDM printers. Only I don't think that applies to resin printers. Um, Object selection to export to a new scene. Now, this is a neat feature. If you're like me and you use the slicer a lot to create multiple scenes, and then you want to be able to take an individual model or character from that scene and export to a scene, that is actually a neat thing to be able to do. You weren't able to do this before. You actually had to go to your object selector and you had to hide the objects, and then you had to essentially um, export each one at a time, or just save each scene one at a time and then go and delete the other objects that you didn't want to keep in those individual scenes. For example, if you're building a bunch of files for clients and you don't want them necessarily to have like a bunch of files in each particular scene, you may just want them to have one object per scene so they can choose how they're going to set those up to print them. So that's really a good addition to the software. I'm very happy about that change. If you want to hide the interface now, there is a new shortcut for that. You simply press Shift Tab, and it will now hide the tool sets, the toolbars that you're using. So if you're like on the Prepare Support tab, it'll make that stuff disappear, which gives you a little bit better view of the layer slider as well as whatever you're working on, to be honest. So nice thing to be able to pop off and on if you want. The bonus, if you have your 30-day trial already used up, according to what they've said here, you're going to get 10 more days. So you're welcome there on that one. Whoever whoever complained they wanted a 40-day trial, you got your wish. So that's an added bonus. The save as menu has been improved and now goes straight to save scene as, so you don't have to navigate to the extra sub menus when you're working on a new scene and going to save. Um, The export menu has been improved as well. Now gathers all export options in one place rather than making you go to multiple places to export things like it used to. So again, nice additions to that menu. You have improved settings set up for Elegoo Mars 5 Ultra and Saturn 4 Ultra. Apparently, they have simplified that interface for the settings for those printers. And the planar cut tool has been updated too to allow selective cuts as well as to move and rotate using more exact coordinates rather than just kind of moving the tool around. The arrange tool has now been improved as well. Custom bracing parameters have also been improved, whereas the start and gap of the bracing have been increased to 30 millimeters. You can adjust these settings and enhance based on however quality and stability you're looking for to enhance in your bracings. Improved overhang and visualization. And again, I'll have to kind of check this out myself. I really haven't explored this too much. They already did a visualization change a while ago, where you could change the color of the overhangs from that yellow checker pattern essentially to a red pattern. That would kind of look like bruising almost. And that essentially was showing you where your overhangs or angled areas were that were going to present the greatest level of support need. And I believe this is supposed to have improved upon that. And again, I mean, it's probably just something. It's subtle that you don't really notice right off. But if it has been improved, it's something I'm just definitely going to have to report back on a little bit later. As far as fixes, they have fixed geometry issues in fast slicing, fixed file generation for Fox Lab printers. The batch tool functionality has fixed an issue with suffixes and prefixes that have been corrected, and fixed compatibility for Prusa SL1 and SL1S printers following the 1.8.0 update. And that pretty much does it for all of the updates for the Lychee Slicer 7.1.1. Now, for those of you that are thinking, I'm missing a couple fixes there. Well, if you're like me and you've been bothered by the proximity bug, we'll call it, for a few versions now, it's not something that they seem to be addressing. Now, I've submitted tickets about this. I've sent in files showing the exact bug. And essentially what happens is you'll get a proximity error about a proximity being in collision with either geometry or another part of the model. And then when you go to view supports in proximity error, which is an option to do, the program simply continues to show you everything. It just glitches, it doesn't show you. This is a very apparent problem when you've already added bracings. It's less of an issue if everything is just parented by itself and there's no bracings. It seems to have a much harder time identifying these issues when you're uh, doing it with a bunch of bracings hanging around. So, my suggestion, if you're having this issue a lot, is to go ahead and try to parent your support bracings and then try it again. That sometimes works for me. It doesn't always work. So keep that in mind. That's not a perfect fix either. Um, anyway, that's pretty much it for this episode. Like I said, 7.1.1 was a major update for Lychee Slicer. There's a lot that they've changed and fixed and addressed. Bugs have been brought in and addressed for the most part. There's a lot of things that have been changed. Performance issues and things like that are always addressed with each and every change that goes on. And honestly, some of the bigger things that we always look for are just problems that have persisted for a while. The proximity bug that I've been dealing with is it's a pain. I know they'll eventually get to it, but it's one of those things that we're still dealing with. So if you're hoping that one was fixed, unfortunately, it does not appear to have been fixed. And I can vouch for that not being fixed because using 7.1.1, it still persists in some of the work that I'm doing currently. Anyway, we have a couple more exciting episodes this month. I say exciting because then 3D printing, how exciting! But hey, they're exciting to me. They might be exciting to you. We're going to talk about resolution and stuff like why I think 4K and 10K and 8K and all those numbers really are meaningless. And the biggest thing that's going to support that is the material testing. And I'm going to get into a whole line of that where I'm going to start testing these 14K resins compared to some of the 8K resins compared to some of the standard stuff. And I know the standard stuff is crap. Like I know it's bad because I mean I've compared, and I'll show you this. We've got an episode this month where I'm going to show you a direct comparison to an 8K resin and like a standard, like essentially like low, really like 2K resins, like really basic stuff, like very 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 standard stuff. Um, and we'll go over that. I'll show you what I mean, and then I'm going to do some further testing. Like I said, there's some new resins on the market. There's some stuff I've been mixing up myself. That's kind of it works really well. But now I'm even finding things that are better. And one of the things that the M4 has kind of opened my eyes up to is that the results are different, even though the resins are the same. So there's something that's going on with the light technology that they've changed a little bit, or the way that it's curing the process there, that is affecting the finish on the resin that we're currently using. So I either need to adjust it for the M4s as I start to bring in those machines, or I need to figure out why that is and maybe adjust some of my curing settings. Anyway, that's it for this one, guys. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see y'all in the next one. Bye bye.